Hey everybody, this is Jonathan James with Hope Charities. And look, thank you so much for joining us and tuning in right now on YouTube and Facebook to come and hang out and talk a little bit more about leadership. This weekend has already been amazing. We've had some amazing sessions today that just got started. But look, if you haven't registered yet and you haven't had a chance to get involved, maybe you're still thinking about, man, did I miss the whole thing or is there more to come? Tomorrow we will have more sessions that'll be done live on Zoom. But in order to get the links, you got to register. So go to our website right now, hope-charities.org or hopeforhemophilia.org, and you can register for this event right on the home screen. It's a very simple form, but it'll help you to understand and get the updates for the links that'll be coming out for tomorrow's sessions. And you really don't want to miss that. Not to mention, we've already had a bunch of people that win some great prizes, lots of money and giveaways in each session. And then also for the whole event, there's still time. If you want to participate in 3 or more sessions throughout the whole weekend, the 3 days that we're doing this, then you actually will be entered into a chance to win some amazing prizes you can find out more about on our website, such as a Sony a6400 camera, an executive chair, ergonomic desk, a standing desk. It's got just some amazing stuff coming your way. So look, go to the website, register right now if you haven't already. But look, we already heard some amazing sessions today. We just got done with a fantastic screening of Patrick James Lynch's new film on mental health, depression, living with a bleeding disorder, which was phenomenal. Thank you so much, Patrick, for all the work that you do for our community. And we had some other great sessions on resiliency and talking about hemophilia B. So a lot of great opportunities to connect today. And I've met some good people, and it's really great to see each and every one of you in these sessions. So keep hanging out. We're going to be spending some time right now, and I'm going to get on the line with me, my good friend Jeff McFall, here in just a minute to talk a little bit more about leadership. A little bit later, we'll be talking with another friend of mine, EJ Vegas, who's going to be telling us a little bit about his experience with growing up with hemophilia and what that taught him about leadership. And then I'm so excited about this, but I get an opportunity tonight to be able to interview a world-renowned musical artist, Danny Gokey. He was one of the early winners of American Idol, and he has had just an incredible award-winning career ever since. But he's had some incredible disappointments in his life and talked a little bit about losing his wife, going through the heartache and the difficulty and the pain of that, and how he has struggled, but how it has also helped him to really overcome a lot of things and move into leadership. And he talks about it from a position of faith. So I really, really want you to tune in and listen to that just a little bit later. So just stay right here with us, and I'm going to get my good friend Jeff on the line. So hang tight. All right, I've got my good friend Jeff McFall with me here from Pfizer. And Jeff, it is great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us for Summer Leadership Weekend. It's great to see you.
Great to see you, Jonathan. Always appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, of course, man. And, you know, it's neat when I'm thinking about leadership. I go back to you and I back in the early 2000s. We're beating the streets in a little car, driving all over the place to chapter events and doing little speaking engagements here and there, and had a lot of fun. I was really privileged to be a part of an early speaker program that Pfizer was a part of. It was kind of adopted from Wyeth when it was the ambassador program. And so that was a lot of fun. But man, I remember just having so much respect for you and how much you had really just learned so much. You were so skilled at being able to navigate all the nuances of the community and knowing how to provide leadership to others in the process and really have fun doing it. I think that's its own, topic altogether today. But for people who may be watching right now who don't know you as well as I do, I'd love to find out a little bit more about what your role is with the company and what you do at Pfizer.
Okay, great, Jonathan. Yeah, those were the good old days. We did have a lot of fun. For those that don't know me, my name is Jeff McFall. I am one of the 11 patient affairs liaisons throughout the country for Pfizer. And my role is, please consider me as a resource for Pfizer. I am your direct link between Pfizer and all the offerings that we provide for the hemophilia community. So I'm not affiliated with any treatment center and or company or chapter. So I am that direct source to Pfizer if needed.
That's great. And I don't know how many people really understand how important it is to be connected to someone like yourself, and when you're really having needs, or maybe there's specific, things that you might have questions about. A lot of times reaching out to someone like you is really could mean the difference between getting help and not getting help. So I really encourage you to do that. Reach out to Jeff, and we'll make certain that his information is available to you in the
Thank
comments here below. But look, while we've got some time, we're talking about leadership, and I want to say a big thank you, first of all, for Pfizer sponsoring this weekend. We truly could not do what we do if it wasn't for you guys being supportive and helping us to put these kinds of events on. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And as we're talking about leadership this weekend, I mean, I just think about quotes that have really driven me in my past and so many things. Do you have a favorite quote or anything that you'd like to share with people about leadership?
I do, Jonathan, and it's very simple, and it has made an incredible impact on me. And it's as simple as manage the manageables. And that can mean so many different things to so many different people. But if you think about what's in your control, and it's limited to a lot of us, but if we can manage what little pieces that we do have, that really makes life so much better. And it was taught to me early on just to manage the manageables and let's see what happens with the rest.
That's
Worked
so
out so
good.
far.
That's wisdom, man. That's so good. And I think you're dead on, because the reality is that I think we worry and spend so much time afraid of what may or may not happen that we sometimes can miss out on making the best decision with what we can control. And so I love that. Manage the manageables.
Manage the manageables, and don't future trip.
Smart. I like that. I like that. Tell me a little bit about, you've been around the hemophilia community for a long time. And so I'd love to know, I think a lot of people would like to know from you, what has the hemophilia community really taught you about being successful in life?
Jonathan, and it's a passion of mine, and being part of this community for so long and being welcomed like from you and everyone else within the community is so heartfelt. But when you really think about the resilience of this community and the ability to adapt and overcome, and as you know, there's been so many changes within the past, let's call it the past 10 years. And the advancements with technology and everything that's available, I mean, that resilience is just sort of echoed, and it continues to echo out. And fortunately for the people in the community, from young to old, there's so much flexibility now. So that resilience is proven time and time again.
That's so good. I couldn't agree more. The resiliency in the community is one thing that just has continued to inspire me, and I know so many others, really. One of the things I wanted that I'm really asking a lot of people right now is, and I think you could speak to this, is that if you could go back in time, I mean, many people think that you're 29 like I am, and we're just, kind of hanging out, but
Exactly.
you're maybe a couple years older than 29. So I won't, spill the age, but we're getting up there. I mean, a little bit. And so if that's happening, and you could go back in time and really speak to the younger version of you, based upon what you've learned, what would you tell the younger self of you to really look out for, so that you could be even more successful, maybe?
Jonathan, and I don't want to sound like our parents. So let me qualify that to the people listening right now. I don't want to sound like our parents, but I have a lot of friends who have younger children or children, and I often share with them, if I could go back, again, I was on the decade plan in college. If I could go back and do things differently, the one thing that I would focus on, and I would encourage all of my friends' children to do the same, is really focus on your ability to write effectively and efficiently and kindly, but also to learn Excel. If you have those two skill sets, your ticket, you could write the moon. So learn Excel and learn how to write are my two things that I would do different going backwards.
Well,
Yes.
we were talking about this the other day, and I think really I have some friends that have been in all kinds of different skill sets, even some physicians that went to school for eons, and here they are managing, maybe a manufacturing department, or maybe they're managing, for instance, like a large advocacy group, and it's like, they're really their people skills and their tangible administrative skills are actually what's empowered them to be great. And so I think for everybody, you're exactly right. You need to really focus on some of those like just fundamental basics of business management, no matter what you're specialized in, because ultimately, even in a specialty, you're probably still going to need those skills to be able to, and the people that can do better at that usually kind of edge out a little bit. And so, man, I think that's wisdom. That's good advice.
Those are my pearls.
There you go. Well, I certainly thank you so much again for sponsoring this weekend, for being a part of it, but really more importantly, just for being you and being able to be transparent and help us give us the wisdom that has made all that gray hair on your head so beautiful. So thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thanks again.
All right.
Hi, I'm Mark Pangilinan. I'm your local Novo Nordisk Hemophilia Community Liaison here in the New York City, New Jersey, and Philadelphia areas. I've been working in the rare bleeding disorder community for almost 2 years, and my favorite thing about this community is the passion that everyone has to live life to the fullest. It is truly inspiring and a privilege to work in this community. As an HCL, I'm here to support you with rare bleeding disorder educational resources. I look forward to connecting and learning more about you. See you soon.
All right, I've got my good friend EJ with me from DrugCo. EJ, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for being here for Summer Leadership Weekend.
Good morning, Jonathan. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Man, it's great to see you. And I just want to start out with saying a big thank you to you and to DrugCo for supporting this weekend. We really and truly could not provide this level of connection and education for all of the hemophilia community nationwide the way we do without your support. And so I just want to say you guys have been such a backbone to what we do. And I just want to say thank you so much to DrugCo for being a part of this and really sponsoring this weekend. It means a lot to us.
Well, we appreciate that, and that thank you goes right back to you, Jonathan. Thanks for providing such good support and great virtual events during this time and over the past over a year. So we're happy to be here and support you guys and just be a part of the community.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And I want to dive right in. I mean, this weekend, we're talking a lot about leadership. We're talking about, and look, I know you've got an amazing story about how you're impacted directly by hemophilia. And so there's so many wonderful things we could probably talk for hours about, but maybe let's start out. Maybe this is the first time people are tuning in. They haven't seen an event like this before, and they're joining us right now. And they're wondering, okay, well, who are these two weird looking guys? You got a guy with a beard and a weird hairdo, and you got a guy with amazing glasses on that are white rimmed. I mean, that's just legit.
Those are kind words.
So, what do these two guys have in common? So I'd love to hear a little bit about what do you do? What is your role in maybe within DrugCo, but also how you're really connected to the hemophilia community. What brought you to be involved with the hemophilia community?
Okay. Well, hello, everybody in the world. Nice to meet you guys. My name is EJ Villegas. Most of you guys know me by EJ, but my full name is Emmanuel John. So I myself am a 41-year-old severe hemophiliac. So for 41 years, I've had a very personal connection with hemophilia. And I'm married. I've been married for, 10 years now. And I'm a proud father of one amazing 7-year-old boy. And we are anxiously awaiting baby number 2 here coming in just a couple of weeks. So we are super excited here. So well, that's a lot about me. I'm based out of just outside of Cleveland, Ohio, in Ravenna, and I'm the Midwest Regional Manager for DrugCo Health Specialty Pharmacy. So
that's great.
That's a small tidbit about me.
Yeah, and you help people with getting their medications regularly, making sure that they've got supplies. You're helping also put on educational events like this. So you're extremely connected to the process of how patients are taken care of, right?
Absolutely. We take very much good pride in the level of dedication and commitment we have to our patients and the patient care. So I've been with DrugCo for about a year now, a little over a year, and I've been in the hemophilia industry for over 15 years. So I'm excited to bring that level of experience to this team. I'm working with some of my best friends in this hemophilia and bleeding disorders community here at Drug Co. So I'm super excited, and it's just nice to get to be out again and seeing the community face to face again after a long year hold up because of this pandemic. So.
Well, man, I love, I always love getting to hear parts of your story. I think I learn something every time that we connect. And so, but I'm 42. So I have to say, I feel like you have worn your 41 years way better than I did.
Oh,
I've got this like gray thing going on, and I look like I've been through the blender. And you, my friend, have got some great genes. So I'm a little jealous.
Thank you, sir. I'll be sure to pass that thank you on to my parents too. So.
That's right. Well, great. Well, tell me a little bit. I mean, we're talking about leadership. I know you and I have so much in common about how much hemophilia has really taught us about being a leader really in life, maybe not just even in the hemophilia community, but just in life. And so I always say it this way, that hemophilia has taught me far more than what hemophilia has taken from me. And I really believe that it's true that there's been so many things that are added to, but it really is a lot about your perspective, right? You can look at the things that are negative, or you can look at the things that are positive. And really whichever one of those you look at more is what you probably will gravitate towards in life. And so anyway, I want to just talk a little bit about the topic of leadership. I know you've got some wisdom on that, some ideas. But tell me, is there any kind of favorite quote that you have, or people that you listen to that really inspire you for leadership?
So yeah, there's a lot of good ones. It's hard to choose just one, Jonathan. So I'm going to look towards like the most recent history, right? What we just went through with this pandemic. I, like a lot of people, binge watched a lot of Netflix, right? And one show that I came across, it really had this dramatic impact on how I look at work and leadership. And it might be silly to some, but it was the show The Office. I had never really got into it when it first, went through, and then hit syndication. But, with this time at home, I like a lot of people, just binge watch Netflix, and The Office really had this meaningful impact on how I approach my work relationships. And most importantly, so there was one guy, the leader of the pack, Steve Carell's character, Michael Scott, was this guy who had, over the span of years, had so many good quotes. And I know it's a little silly, but when it comes to leadership, I wanted to use a Michael Scott quote for you today. And there's reason behind it. So when it comes on how to lead, would I rather be feared or loved? Well, that's easy. Both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me. That's a Michael Scott leadership quote.
Man, that is classic. I love it. I love it.
Behind all the silliness, right? Behind all the jokes and everything, I felt like Michael's leadership, it was rooted in the family bonding and the care for the individuals of his team. So when you show that kind of care for your team, it has this really positive effect on the loyalty towards the team. And they could always tell that he had like their best interest at heart. Yeah. So I really felt that was my leadership quote coming out of this pandemic.
Well, look, I'm a huge Office fan, so I'm in it with you, and I love Michael Scott's character. Just such a great classic character with Dwight and all the banter back and forth, just so great. But I do have to say, of all the conversations this weekend, if we're looking for a unique leadership quote, man, you win the award for if you could pull out something positive from that kind of level of comedy, man. Kudos to you. I love it though. I guess the main point here is really that you just want to love people so much that everyone that you lead knows that you love them, and that the thought of not having that is probably more concerning than it is to not value it along the way. So
absolutely show the love, and it will be shown right back to you.
That's so true, man. So true. Well, tell me a little bit about what hemophilia has really taught you about leadership, because you've been around for a long time. You've learned a lot of lessons. You've seen a lot of transitions with treatment. You've been through all the things. I know you're a lot like me. hemophilia really has taught me a lot about how to lead others and how to be compassionate, empathetic, all of those things. Tell me,
Sure.
what has hemophilia taught you?
Well, Jonathan, that's the best question, and what I always try to make an impression on everybody that I meet within the bleeding disorder community. I've learned how important self-care is. We've talked about taking care of others and our patients, but as the saying goes, you have to secure your own oxygen mask so that you could better help the other ones around you. So over the years, I've learned that the value of treating my own health as a priority in my life, it will better serve both my patients, everybody around me, and also I'm making this huge lead by example, right? Like, I'm showing what the community can do, what our patients can do with their lives when they approach their self-care in an appropriate manner. So, choosing a proper care team to help support you and, have you compliant along the way. So whatever your doctor is prescribing your treatment and sticking to that treatment, whatever it may be, that's absolutely the number one thing that we have to do for self-care as a patient living with a bleeding disorder.
That's so good, man. Could not have said it better. That is so good and so right, that if you don't take the time and thought and energy to actually give yourself permission, I think is a good way to say that, is that give yourself permission to be cared for. And man, I know people in their 60s that are just now getting this concept. And that is one thing that I think is really unique about hemophilia, is that pressure in our lives sometimes makes us actually consolidate the lessons sooner in life. And so I see people that are, in their teens that have as much wisdom sometimes as people that I know that are in their 50s, not because that they've lived as much life, but because they've had to really wrestle with real life issues, maybe at an earlier age.
At a very early age, right, Jonathan? We're close in age, and I'm sure you recall being, 4, 5, 6 years old, in front of your doctors and your nurses, and they're asking you to explain your pain.
Right.
Like that has an effect on how you express yourself. And certainly you tend to age a little bit quicker when you go through, situations like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that brings us really to the last question I wanted to ask you, which is really, if you could go back in time to when you're in that place of 5, 6, 7 years old. And, for you and I, we were living probably, I know for me, I was living in and out of the hospital all the time. At-home treatment was not even a thing. But, just mentally, the pressure and the challenges that you go through with all of those things, like, if you could go back in time and give yourself advice, like what would be the one piece of advice you really would like to tell your younger version of yourself, knowing what you know now?
Sure. What I would take back from 41 years and throw back at my younger self, I'd probably say not to get too wrapped up in my own problems, right? I would tell them there's no life with zero problems, Jonathan, right? I tell myself that a lot. And once you can accept that reality, that there will be problems that you face, and then you begin to take those baby steps towards improving your situation, you'll make progress. So when you surround yourself with good people and keep trying, there's no way that you could fail with that. Things get better with every trip around the sun, as they say.
That is so good, man. That is so good. Well, look, I just am so thankful for you guys being here and being a part of this weekend. I can't wait till we can all be in the same room together again.
You and me both, Jonathan.
I'm really looking forward to that. But man, until then, I am just thrilled that we get to hang out in moments like this. Like you said earlier, before the call today, you had mentioned to me that you were just grateful because you've gotten to connect with people all over the country, actually more frequently than probably would have beforehand. So man, there's a silver lining there. And sure. I just really appreciate your friendship and also your partnership as we go through all the different things that we face. So thanks so much for being here, AJ and EJ. We look forward to seeing you very soon. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me. Let's have a great weekend.
All right. Bye now.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, EJ. You know, if you can come up with a quote from The Office as being your number one leadership quote, you know you got both brains and fun. So thanks, EJ, for hanging out with us and teaching us a little bit about your perspective with leadership in our community and also about the things that you've overcome with hemophilia as well. Look, I'm super excited about the rest of this program tonight. So if you're just now tuning in live on Facebook or YouTube and you're watching this session going, man, what is all of this about? This is our Summer Leadership Weekend, and we are so glad that you just tuned in and joined us. We're talking about bleeding disorders, but more importantly, we're talking about leadership in life, how to be successful and take lessons from what we learned from living with a bleeding disorder and actually turning that into fuel to help us live a successful life. So I'm super excited about this weekend, and so much has already happened that I'm just so blown away by all the amazing things that have happened. And we've already had a bunch of prizes given away in our Zoom sessions. So if you haven't participated in the Zoom sessions yet, you want to do that. This live stream is only one part of the weekend. So make certain that you register on our website at hopeforhemophilia.com. Or you can go to hope-charities.org and you can click on the link right there to register, and we'll send you all the information you need to be able to get the links for tomorrow's sessions. But right now, here we are in our last general session for the night, and we've still got a couple more guests that I want to introduce you to. But before we do that, I want to say huge thanks to all of our sponsors. Truly, we could not put on this amazing event and, of course, great content like this for you if it wasn't for our sponsors. As you heard from both Jeff from Pfizer and, of course, EJ from Drug Co., we want to say a big thank you to them, but also thank you to Novo Nordisk and Genentech coming up next. And I want you to listen to this information that they've shared with us to be able to help you understand a little bit more about what they do. Take a look at this. And right after that, I'm coming back and we're talking to Danny Gokey. Don't leave.
Hi, I'm Judy Doyle, your local Novo Nordisk Hemophilia Community Liaison, or HCL for short. I cover Ohio and Indiana, which is known as the Heartland Territory. I grew up in Akron and I live in Medina, Ohio with my family. I started my job at Novo in March of 2020. Although I'm new, I've been involved with the bleeding disorder community for over 18 years. Initially by developing advocacy and mentor programs at a local children's hospital. What I admire most about the bleeding disorder community is your ability to empower each other to be passionate and unstoppable advocates. As your HCL, I'm here to provide you with rare bleeding disorder educational resources. I'm really looking forward to meeting you and learning more about you.
Miranda, you want some bread?
Sure, that'd be great.
Check that, Adam. Look at that. Looks good.
Oh.
Thank you. But before I made the switch to Hemlibra, I was comfortable in the spot that I was at. I was already comfortable with my medication and my treatment plan. I was on Thursdays and Sundays, so I already knew what to expect. And I just didn't know that there was something different around the corner.
We had the routine, and it's like, even though like Cole was having some issues with it, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to relearn something. And what happens if like we don't like this?
I'll just dump all this in there. I'm just kidding. I heard about Hemlibra through my mom. She said, read up on this. There's some new information. You check it out. And obviously, me being a rebellious kid, I didn't read it. But she's like, son, you could literally go from infusing yourself to now injecting just twice a month.
Oh my gosh, I wish you guys could have seen Cole's face when the doctor told him that all he was gonna have to do was inject himself in his stomach. I mean, his eyes lit up. He was like, what? That's all I have to do? That, like, he was like, bam, I'll do it now.
It just has relaxed our house a little bit in the morning because getting kids ready for the bus is not a stress-free event.
The bus doesn't wait for you, right?
Yeah,
the
bus
is
doesn't
gone
wait.
and you're not.
There you go. You want some water?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
A little bit.
Awesome.
One of the crazy things is I'll be about to go like run and I'll think, oh, I haven't got my medicine in a long time. I probably do. And then I look and I got it like a week ago and I still have a whole nother week.
It was normal life. That routine, that way of life, and it was a good way of life. And like, I don't think any of us knew there could be less treated bleeds.
After switching to Hemlibra, for the 4 months I've been on it, I haven't had any bleeds that I had to treat.
Yeah. Same with the boys. They've not had any bleeds in the past 6 months that have needed treatment. They are really active little boys.
Getting to see my child have the opportunity to share with people. He's like, I'm Cole. I love listening to music. I love hanging out with my friends. And I have severe hemophilia A. Like that used to be the first thing that like,
thing out of
it
their
was
mouth.
like his label that didn't make him feel normal.
Right.
So like seeing that like be relieved of him is like amazing.
Data from studies of Hemlibra. In a study, adults and young adults without factor VIII inhibitors taking Hemlibra once weekly, 36 people, had 96% fewer bleeds requiring additional treatment versus on-demand factor VIII with no prophylaxis, 18 people. People receiving Hemlibra once every 2 weeks, total of 35 people, had 97% fewer bleeds requiring treatment. In a study, adults and young adults without factor VIII inhibitors taking factor VIII to prevent bleeds, prophylaxis, who switched to Hemlibra, had 68% fewer bleeds that needed treatment, total of 48 people. Patients were observed for at least 24 weeks. Take Hemlibra once a week for the first 4 weeks of treatment. For week 5, your doctor will work with you to choose the maintenance dose schedule that works best for you. It can be once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once every 4 weeks. If you miss a dose of Hemlibra on your scheduled day, you should give the dose as soon as you remember, then continue your normal dosing schedule. Do not give 2 doses on the same day to make up for a missed dose. What is Hemlibra? Hemlibra is a prescription medicine used for routine prophylaxis to prevent or reduce the frequency of bleeding episodes in adults and children, ages newborn and older, with hemophilia A with or without factor VIII inhibitors. What is the most important information I should know about Hemlibra? Hemlibra increases the potential for your blood to clot. People who use activated prothrombin complex concentrate, APCC, FIBA, to treat breakthrough bleeds while taking Hemlibra may be at risk of serious side effects related to blood clots. These serious side effects include thrombotic microangiopathy, TMA, a condition involving blood clots and injury to small blood vessels that may cause harm to your kidneys, brain, and other organs. Blood clots, thrombotic events, which may form in blood vessels in your arm, leg, lung, or head. Talk to your doctor about the signs and symptoms of these serious side effects, which can include confusion, stomach, chest, or back pain, weakness, nausea or vomiting, swelling, pain, or redness, feeling sick or faint, decreased urination, swelling of arms and legs, yellowing of skin and eyes, eye pain, swelling, or trouble seeing, fast heart rate, numbness in your face, headache, shortness of breath, coughing up blood. If you experience any of these symptoms during or after treatment with Hemlibra, get medical help right away. Carefully follow your healthcare provider's instructions regarding when to use an on-demand bypassing agent or factor VIII and the dose and schedule to use for breakthrough bleed treatment. If APCC-FIBA is needed, talk to your healthcare provider in case you feel you need more than 100 units per kilogram of APCC-FIBA total. The most common side effects of Hemlibra include injection site reactions, redness, tenderness, warmth, or itching at the site of injection, headache, and joint pain. These are not all the possible side effects of Hemlibra. You can speak with your healthcare provider for more information. What else should I know about Hemlibra? See the detailed instructions for use that comes with your Hemlibra for information on how to prepare and inject a dose of Hemlibra and how to properly throw away, dispose of, use needles and syringes. Stop taking your prophylactic bypassing therapy the day before you start Hemlibra. You may continue taking your prophylactic factor VIII for the first week of Hemlibra. Hemlibra may interfere with laboratory tests that measure how well your blood is clotting and create an inaccurate result. Speak with your healthcare provider about how this may affect your care. Medicines are sometimes prescribed for purposes other than those listed in a medication guide. Only use Hemlibra for the condition it was prescribed. Do not give Hemlibra to other people, even if they have the same symptoms that you have. It may harm them. Tell your healthcare provider about all the medicines you take, including prescription medicines, over-the-counter medicines, vitamins, or herbal supplements. Keep a list of them to show your healthcare provider and pharmacist. Before using Hemlibra, tell your healthcare provider about all of your medical conditions, including if you are pregnant, plan to become pregnant, are breastfeeding, or plan to breastfeed. Since Hemlibra was tested in males, there is no information on whether Hemlibra may impact your unborn baby or breast milk. Females who are able to become pregnant should use birth control during treatment. Side effects may be reported to the FDA at 800-FDA-1088 or www.fda.gov/medwatch. You may also report side effects to Genentech at 888-835-2555. Please see the Hemlibra full prescribing information and medication guide for important safety information, including serious side effects.
Well, it is my privilege to introduce our next guest. I have to say I'm a fan, but welcome to our summer leadership program, Danny Gokey. It's great to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, so glad to be talking with you, and it's my pleasure. Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, we are super excited to have you here. And one of these days, I really hope to rope you into one of our events in person when all this pandemic stuff is kind of calmed down and we can actually have you sing for us. Because, man, you've got some songs that really resonate with us. I just real quickly, I think a lot of people know your resume, but I'll just kind of mention you've had a bunch of #1 hits for people who might not know on the billboards. You've been Hope in Front of Me, one of my favorite songs, #1 back in 2014, which was really instrumental in our journey. I think we played all of your songs at our galas, so pretty much everybody should know your repertoire. But you've had Tell Your Heart to Beat Again was big. God Love People was big just last year. So you've had, I think, if I'm reading this correctly, you've had 4 #1 hits, and 8 of them were in the top 10s. And so 20 songs total that's hit the Billboard records, which is just phenomenal. And it all kind of culminated, I think, for the majority of the public back in season 8 of American Idol. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it really did. This journey started, man, well, it's even before then, when my parents would force me to sing in church.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I had people. Sometimes you got to be forced out of your comfort zone. And I'm so glad that my parents, they did that. They pushed me. And, going to church and being in that atmosphere, I understand people sometimes, look at church like, I don't know. But some of the greatest singers that I listen to have come out of church. And so I feel like I'm in good company.
So true. I couldn't agree more. And I would also say too, like there was a season where maybe you were hidden and people just didn't know about you from a big public point of view, but that was sort of your coming out party where people just all over who might not have known you in your own hometown, but they begin to know you. And that's one of the things we're talking about this weekend with leadership in general is how do you take those moments of real disappointment and discouragement and lean into those tipping points to have hope for a positive outcome in your future when it doesn't really look like that. And I know for you, you had just lost your wife. You started a nonprofit. There were some really difficult days there. And it was really a friend who kind of pulled you out of that disappointment and said, man, come on and do something else and get outside of your comfort zone and let's go do this together. And that's what really launched. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, a big foundation of it is our faith. When we look at when I look at my walk and, sometimes it's hard to see, okay, God, where are you? Right. Because I prayed the prayers. They weren't answered the way that I thought they should be answered. And not that sometimes you question, like, I thought the Bible said, if I prayed, you'd be there to answer. Why is everything looking opposite? But I think this is where faith comes in. Faith is a powerful force that helps you envision the type of life you want to see when your life is the exact opposite. And having people of faith. I mean, think about it. My friend Jamar, who tried out with me, we were worship leaders at the same church, and Jamar was instrumental in pushing me my past for people. But I got to tell you this, like, what made Abraham, what made Abraham trust God for the promise when the promise was not panning out? You're gonna have a son. 25 years. You know what faith does? It fully trusts and relies upon God. And how do we get faith? Faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God. But I'll tell you this, growing up in church, being raised in church and hearing the word of God helped me move forward to believe that, hey, if God can do this for someone else, maybe he can do it for me. And I'll tell you, I struggled with unbelief along the way. I struggled with the temptation of doubt and just wanted to throw in a towel and be like, man, forget this. This is all in vain. But I'm so glad I didn't, because it wasn't in vain. It really comes down to what's happening in you. That's why there's people who every day they're buying Louis Vuittons, buying Bentleys, buying the latest fashion, going to the highest end restaurants, and they're absolutely miserable because nothing can satisfy, nothing can put hope inside of us like God can. He has the blueprint to our lives. And when you connect with him, because the tangible thing was like, so I was struggling. I'm going through American Idol. I'm excited that like maybe God can use this because she passed away a month before American Idol. Then I started falling into depression because the question is like, wait, I'm going on American Idol and I'm feeling hurt still. And I'm feeling kind of like unsettled. And I'm feeling like, man, this is like, is God even in this? But the reason why I'm not free and healing, because you got to heal, right? But there's a process of healing that brings you freedom, was because I was hanging on. I was bitter. I was angry. That was the tipping point for me. And I remember I made it the top 50 on American Idol when God revealed it. Because literally, this is what I said before God answered my prayer. I'm not going on American Idol because I'm going to make a fool of myself and I'll make a fool of you. Because I was miserable. And even American Idol couldn't make me happy. Because I was like, man, this is not fair. Life's not fair. This is, you start complainers, man. It's a dark hole. And when God gave me that, said, let it go and trust. That was a big deal. And that was what pushed me over. And I remember the freedom I felt. Because here's what I did. In that moment, I pictured myself back at the gravesite of my wife. And I know this is morbid, but I pictured myself there. And as they're burying her, I pictured I was hanging on to the casket. I was hanging on to, and they were burying me. And I realized that it was only me hanging on to that buried me. And so I visualized myself letting it go. And I had to do this again and again. What people don't understand is that you have to envision this over and over, because the thoughts, the feelings, the bitterness, the resentment is going to want to eat back in. And if you're not constantly on the offensive saying, nope, I refuse to allow this to destroy me. I refuse to be defined by the pain of my past. I refuse to be a victim. This is an exercise. I got to tell you that. It's an exercise, but it's well worth it.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. What a great way to say that too. And I really believe that it is those moments where you're able to just have a vision of like yourself, just committing to, hey, this is where I found myself. Maybe you didn't choose it. Maybe it's not what you wanted. Maybe it didn't look anything like what you had hoped for, but being able to say, you know what, I'm here and I just got to accept it is the first step for you to be able to move on into your, I guess one last question before we go. And I know your time's short and we want to honor that, but I just wanted to ask you, what's like one piece of advice that you would give the younger version of yourself? If you could go back 20 years ago and say, you know what, Danny, this is the one thing I wish I could give myself the advice when I was 20 years old, what would that be?
That condemning yourself, being angry at yourself, trying to fix yourself, cycles. We put ourselves through cycles, right? And it's going back like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. I need to do this better for God. I guess I would say that, number one, God accepts you where you are, who you are, where you're at, and how you are. Number one. And nothing you can do can change that. And that I used to think that Jesus died on the cross for me, and now it's up to me now to finish this work out to get to heaven. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. One of the things that God has revealed to me, it's Christ in me, the hope of glory. God woke me up with this some time ago, and he said, I've been crucified with Christ, Galatians 2:20, yet I live, not I, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I live now by the faith of the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Life is a perpetual motion of letting go. How did I come to Jesus? And I know not everyone probably listening believes in Jesus, but this is my story. How did I come to Jesus? I surrendered and I believed that I could do nothing to save myself, right? He had to do it. If I had to accept by faith that he could save me, what makes me think now that it's going to be in my strength that I got to save me now? So meaning a lot of struggles that I've dealt with, I needed to come back to that same place. I surrender. I can't fix myself, but Christ is enough and he loves me. I'm telling you, this is how we receive our miracles. This is how we receive our breakthroughs. A lot of people think I got to fast, I got to pray, I got to push hard. This was who I was. I got to push hard and tame my flesh and do these things because I got to be good and acceptable to God. When I learned that, when I accepted him by faith, everything else in this walk, with the Christian walk, I accept his will by faith. I don't have to fight for it. He's going to open the right doors, right? If I'm sick, Lord, I accept your healing by faith. I don't have to fast for it because your word says by your stripes I'm healed. If I'm struggling financially, I don't have to sit there and try to hustle. And I'm going to do my part. But the big faith things, I accept that God provides all my needs according to his riches and glories. And by faith, I accept that you're going to help me pay my bills. It's a life of surrender, not fighting, and just receiving. Am I making myself breathe right now? No. It just happens naturally. Everything should be like that, a natural breath as we receive all the good gifts from our Father.
That's so good. That's so good. Man,
I hope that makes sense. I was trying to spell it out as I was going.
Yeah. No, it's so good, man. It's so true. And I think so many people that are listening right now are dealing with living a lifestyle of pain and physical turmoil inside of their own bodies on a physical level. And the world outside of them looks at them and says, well, you look normal. What's really wrong with you? And so there's this whole emotional burden that oftentimes is carried that prevents so many of us from living the fullness of the life that we were really called to, because we're carrying this emotional thing. And it feels like we're living two separate lives when really we're not. And you hit the nail on the head when you said it's really us leaning into seeing ourselves the way that the Father sees us and not having to strive to be anything other than who he made us. And as much as we can embrace that, we can embrace our future.
Well, think about, why did Paul say, when I am weak, he is strong? Meaning it's in our weakness that God finds us stronger. So embrace the weakness. Yeah. You don't have to, but as you embrace, you're like, man, I can't fix myself. Like when you finally realize, like, I could study the internet trying to calm and solve my problem, because you can do that sometimes when you're dealing with this, like there's got to be a cure and you're splicing the internet in half. But when you realize, you know what? Yeah, I'll do my part, but it's not 100% dependent upon me.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm just, he's got this. God's got this. I surrender to it.
That's so good. What I hear you saying, and I think this is so beautiful, is that people might look at you and they think, oh, Danny Gokey, he's had all this success and all this like fame and all these things have hit, but it's really come out of a place of wrestling where you have had to become more true to who you are in Christ in order to be fully who the Lord has made you. And that seems to be a bigger, more important thing to you than whatever the top charts say and whatever the biggest song is and whatever the most success is.
Yes, because I'm finding that, I'm only happy in him. So we could, like I said before, we're like people. We have nothing to offer ourselves or any other people. But when God fills the tank, they call us consumers for a reason, because we're happy. I need this, grabbing, consuming. But when God fills that spot, all of a sudden you'll notice the believers, because they come up to you and they refresh your soul. They give grace. They give you hope. And then you're like, man, that person doesn't need to grab and consume because they're so full of God and they're giving.
That's so good, Danny. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us and really speaking to our audience today and encouraging so many of us. I know there's so many people out there that have faced just disappointment in different ways, maybe not the same way as what you've focused on or what you've faced, but it's the ability to be able to overcome those things has everything to do with how you see yourself before your maker and how the Father really interacts with us in our own mindset and carrying of our burdens. So thank you so much for all you do, and continue to, man, we're going to be cheering you on and celebrating. I know you got a new album coming up and you're getting out and doing some concerts now, right? Things are about to take off again.
Hopefully I'll be out by you guys. Come on. That's gotta be the next.
Man, I'm ready. Bring it to New Orleans. We're ready for you.
Oh man, I love the food, love the people. It's a great place.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for being with us. And is there anything else you'd like to say to the Hope Charities fan base, and anything we can leave with today?
Yeah. Can I just say that we need you. I know some people might listen and feel insignificant. You're needed. You're more connected to people and have more of an impact on people than you maybe might imagine. And so, and there's what you can give the world, nobody else can. This is why it's so important that we be everything that God created us to be. And that, some of you might be watching and say, I missed some chapters in my life. There's some big missteps and mistakes. The Bible says in Psalm 139 that he's already wrote our story. Your entire story is written. And if you missed a few chapters, our God is so good that when you surrender to him, he can catch you up to the chapter that you're supposed to be at and make up for the chapters that you lost. And this is what I'm saying. There's always hope, and there's hope for you. And we need you, and the people around you need you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Danny. We love you, and we will keep cheering you on, and look forward to catching up with you again before long. Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody.
Wow, what a powerful moment that was to be able to interview Danny Gokey and spend time with him talking about leadership and really hear his perspective. I wrote down a few quick little things that just reminded me in what his message was. We need you. Man, I couldn't say that any better. That is exactly right. If you're watching this right now and you're feeling like you're alone, or you're feeling like you're maybe not a part, or that you just don't know what to do, or that you don't have any other friends that have a bleeding disorder, look, we want to spend time with you. We want to hang out with you. We want to get to know you. And the sessions that we have coming tomorrow is a great time to do that. And so you can get a chance to connect. You just have to go to the website, hope-charities.org, and register for the event. We will send you the Zoom links for tomorrow's call. If you don't want to turn your video on, that's okay. If you don't want to be able to be seen or not, that's okay. We just want to be able to have an opportunity to be able to hang out with you. And this live moments to do that is really great. But listen, tomorrow morning is a special opportunity for us to connect and hear from the national organization leadership. And so tomorrow I'm getting a chance to interview with the NHF CEO, Lynn Valentino, the HFA CEO, Dr. Sharon Myers, as well as the Coalition for Hemophilia B COO, Kim Phelan. And this is going to be an amazing discussion for us to talk a lot about the future of the hemophilia community. What does that look like? Where are we going? What are we excited about? And what are some of the challenges that we face as a community together? So I can't wait for that discussion. I want you to join me first thing in the morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. I know it's early, but look, leaders are the ones who show up first and leave last. So come on out, hang out with me in the morning, and let's learn a little bit more about where this thing is going. Where is the future of the hemophilia Hemophilia community and advocacy as we know it, and how we stand together and really provide unity as an organizational group of people that really represent people living with bleeding disorders. It is a powerful moment. We want you to be there. We want you to hear what's going on and engage. Go ahead and get involved in the chat and comment. We want to be a part of that conversation with you. So we want you to be a part of that. So I'm super excited about that. And then tomorrow we also have some amazing breakout sessions planned even after that I don't want you to miss out on. I'm just going to read a couple of them here for you. We've got Time to Step Up. That's going to be a great session. Adversity, Strength, and Resilience. That's another great session. Strength in Numbers, talking about the HERO study, which I think is going to be really powerful, which talks a little bit about mental health in that particular session. I think that's going to be really great. And then Leadership Through Scholarship. That's going to be a great opportunity for you to learn about how to maybe further your education and some of the scholarship opportunities in the community so that you can do that. We'll also be talking about stress management tomorrow night. I think that's going to be a good session as well. And I've got a lot of other special guests that'll be joining me on our live streams tomorrow. As well, Saturday morning, I don't want you to miss this opportunity, but we are having a conversation about self-care. This is going to be such a really good session about how to really prioritize self. You know, self-care happens to be a bad word in most caregivers' language. And so that's important for you to know that that's not a bad word, but also let's define that a little bit. What does that mean? And so Lori Bienvenu is going to be talking with us about how it's not just a walk in the park. Sometimes it's a little bit more strategic than that, about taking care of yourself in the process of all the things that you have to face. And then immediately after that, we have one other session with Kevin Harris, who's going to be talking about redefining freedom through setting goals. And I think that's a really great perspective. So look, if you're like me, you want to have some big goals in life and you want to set some high bar for you to pursue in life, man, this is the session for you. You want to make sure that you get involved in that. Not to mention, we still got some great giveaways, and there's time for you to still be able to participate in 3 or more sessions this weekend. So if you do 3 or more of these Zoom breakout sessions, you'll have an opportunity to be enrolled in a raffle drawing for 3 amazing prizes. So you can learn all about that on our website, hope-charities.org, and you can register. Still is open for that. If you have friends or family that haven't heard about this and might benefit from some of the conversations we've had, call them up, get them on the phone, text them, shoot them the link, tell them to jump in, because we would love to see them as well. So thanks so much for being here with us. Thanks for hanging out with me this late. I know it's long, but you know what? That's what leaders do. We go for the long haul. We dig in and we really get what we need in order to be able to do better and go farther. So thanks so much for hanging out with me, and we will see you bright and early in the morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. I'll be back on in the Zoom session. Get the links, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.